I've got a whiteboard behind me to use that. Yeah, so they before I ask before we continue, like start the class here. Anybody, so like the stock sheet, the stock exercise sheet. I spent more time on the stock itself, right? Because I think that I believe this about the stock market. It's actually more exciting than any other thing that you could really do in like finance, right? And I think that if you get on board with the idea that you learn a little bit about stock trading even before you're 18, right? I think if there's anything I can do to really help anybody get better at with their money, is to help them get really excited about the stock market. It's fun to invest money. You're like, wait, what? But I don't get to use to buy stuff. Well, would you rather buy the item and then for it to wear out sooner or later? Or would it be more fun to actually buy a stock, hold on to it for a while, and watch it go up in value over time, and then use it when you're finally buying a house or getting a car? Or what do you think is more fun, right? So that's I know we're a lot younger, and you're more excited for stuff, right? But I think that when you get to a certain age, like 13, 14, 15, that if you really are serious about getting good with personal management, then managing yourself, I think it's really important to be able to manage your emotions when it comes to buying things. That's why this class was designed for. This class was designed for you to kind of get your feet wet with understanding how to manage yourself, right? Not just your money. Because what do we do here, right? What else do we try to manage while we're in this class, right? What are some other things? Managing what? Time. You said that, right? And what else? So specifically with finance, right? So break those down. We were doing what? Something and something else. Like there's two main elements that we did with money, with finance. What can we say? Just shout an answer out. What do you think? Finance. Trying to get better with what?
Like
Ready.
Buying things responsibly.
Okay, buying things responsibly. I will say that's an end result of understanding why or how money works. Right, that's the understanding of how money works. Yeah, so that's good. And you can get better with how money works by doing what? What do you think?
Investing.
Okay, that's also part of the how to use your money wisely too. So the answer, right? And I'll give you a crunch bar for that one. Come on in. Hopefully, or anybody here like diabetic or anything like that? The candy, like chocolate? No, right? Okay. So to make sure I don't give you like a candy and you can't eat it. You know what I mean? Right. So what look in your packet. Like what's the biggest part of this project, this class? Hello, how you doing? What was the biggest part of this class? What do we do? The 13-week project, or the 13-week. Yeah, if you could please sign in for the class too, if you could. Yeah.
Keeping track of it.
Tracking. That's exactly what we're doing. Personal management involves tracking, right? So I'm gonna give you another one. I'm gonna give you 100 grand. So tracking, very, very important. Tracking, right? Tracking was one of those things, but the other one that maybe you didn't really catch on to yet, right? So in order to track, you need to learn how to get good at what? No more candy for you. You got two already. Yes. I'm sorry? Budgeting. Awesome. There we go. I'll give you another crunch bar for that one. Good answer. Ooh, nice catch. All right. So that's exactly what we're trying to do here, right? Is we're trying to track and budget, right? But see, you can't budget your money if you don't know how to track your money. Right? So I know you guys maybe for some of you that get allowance and some of you that don't get allowance, it doesn't really matter. But at some point, in your childhood, you're gonna get money from either gifts, right? And and specifically gifts, like Christmas, birthdays, whatever, what have you, right? What other holidays you guys celebrate, right? So tracking and budgeting. That's really, if you think about it, right? So if you track and you budget, it leads to better decision making. Okay, so that's really what I want you guys to think about. So here's what I'm gonna since we got, it looks like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. There's and I think the other person is Max, and I don't know if he's in the show or not. Okay, so let's do this. I think 7 of us here will be it for the evening. All right, so it was I think the person the people that aren't going to be here is Alexander Hu and Ryan Hernandez. And then so 7 of you guys. Awesome. Okay. So you guys have your packets ready. Please have that out. Packet, and then whatever other documents you guys created for your scheduling, right? So we said time management, right? So that's also a form of tracking, right? Scheduling, you're tracking your schedule, right? Tracking your schedule. Let's discuss this for a second, right? Before I jump into, I'm going to show you guys a video here quick. So, let's there's a question right here as far as your time is concerned. Let me go flip to, I don't have your worksheet, so I'm just gonna base it off of this. Number 8, right? So time management. So since we're talking about time management, right? To-do list of tasks. This is what you got here, to-do list of tasks. Yeah. 7-day calendar or schedule, right? You guys did that. Follow your 1-week schedule as planned. Did anybody actually keep a diary or a journal? It looks like, yeah, you got the, this is your journal right here, right? Kind of, okay. Now, who here, so it says here, right? Who wants to share what they wrote down? So since we're going to be reviewing this, right? So with your merit badge counselor, review your to-do list, 1-week schedule, and a diary journal to understand when your schedule worked and when it didn't work. So any feedback on that? What can you tell me about what worked and what didn't work when it comes to your scheduling? I mean, I know it was like the summertime and we really didn't, I don't know if you guys did a lot of activities. Hopefully you did. Go ahead. No, it's fine. Were you gonna say something? Go ahead. What were you gonna say?
Oh, it was just hard tracking because my schedule changed like every day.
Okay.
It was never the same every week and every day.
Okay. Okay, good. It was never the same every week and every day. So how do you think you could potentially have anticipated? So what do I mean by anticipate? What do I mean by anticipate your schedule? So what could you have done to anticipate the changes in your schedule?
The changes in my schedule were just last minute.
Okay, give me an example. Last minute changes.
Like with Girl Scouts.
Okay.
My mom had back to school night and we didn't realize she had to get there half an hour early. So like 2 hours or 3 hours before. So I ended up leaving at like 5. Go to Girl Scouts instead of 6.
Oh, okay. If you could please sign Max? Yeah. Oh, cool. Yeah, you did show. Yeah, sign in for my last that's the sheet there. Okay, cool. So then you are here. All right. So yeah, continue on to say. So you didn't realize very last minute that that you have to change the schedule, right? So so here you go. That's a good example, right? I'll ask the question again. How could you have anticipated? So in the future, for future reference, right? How could you have anticipated that change in the future? Like something happened at that time, but in the future, how could you expect that variation, and then how would you adjust to that? Not sure. Well, what do you think caused the last minute change? So you just didn't know, right?
Yeah, the PTA didn't say anything.
The PTA, so PTA didn't. It was a PTA meeting. Didn't say there's a change in the schedule. Is that what it is? Is that they're just kind of like, oh, we're gonna have it tonight, and then
Well, like, they're like, oh yeah, we're having a PTA meeting an hour before, so be there an hour before.
okay, so you were subjected to the change because you had no control over it. So sometimes there is what actually happened then? So give me the actual.
My mom, okay, so my sister's friend's mom drives us to Girl Scouts, and then mine's like half an hour later than theirs. So I just sit there for like 30 minutes.
Okay, so to
We were at
sit it
her
out.
house for an extra hour.
Okay, so you have to just sit it out, and you actually have to just wait for them to either come get you or pick you up.
We were at their house.
Oh, okay. So that's. But what so what's okay? What was going through your mind during that time, as far as like, okay, oops, this happened, and then what?
Yes, I'm good. Thank you so much tomorrow. That's
Okay.
pretty much all I was thinking about.
Because you didn't have your stuff with you to do your homework with, kind of thing, right? Okay.
I came straight from school.
Okay, so I like that answer because and then did you finish your homework anyway? Like you're okay, you got through.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's a classic example, right, of like things that are out of your control, right? When things are out of your control, there's really only two things. There's only two things you can really control, right? You can only control your attitude about something and then your activity afterwards, right? So remember, in life, take this with you going forward, right? There's only two things you can control in life, and it's your attitude and your activity. And I think I told you this before. And if you tell me there's anything else you can control in life, please, let's write a book together, because that's a big discovery, right? If you can control something else besides your attitude and your activity, let's write a book together. Or you can write a book yourself. Write a book and publish it and see what happens, right? See if you make some money with it. Because if you discover something brand new, then that's something that's really, really amazing, right? So, okay, so time management, it's a little bit, I would say, right? It's a little bit tougher to anticipate when you're younger, especially when you're subjected to, you're at the mercy of your parents' schedules too, especially when you have to rely on your parents to take you to places and do things like that, right? But what can you do as a young individual that let's say you don't have a car, and you don't have a driver's license, and you can't take yourself anywhere you want to go? What's the best thing you can do to make sure your parents understand what's going on? Tell them your schedule ahead of time, right? So if you know your schedule, so here's a cool part about this, right? If you're so good at managing your time, or at least giving a schedule, right? Your parents will feel that burn. Because if you give them your schedule, like, hey, Dad, Mom, this is my schedule. This is what I have planned for the week. And if they mess it up, that means they're gonna feel bad, and they might end up buying something for you. to make you feel better about it. Because like, oh, I messed up. Okay, I gotta do something. That's what happens. Parents, do that. So if you're the one who didn't tell them that you had an activity or you had an event to do, right? Then you're like, well, okay, you didn't tell me, right? So then now they're getting mad at you, right? So you try that next time. Think about it. But that's but you were okay. You did what you needed to do, and the last minute change happened, right? So there, you kind of like, well, I can't do anything, right? But your attitude was good because you were like, okay, well, I gotta do my work tomorrow, my homework tomorrow. Then so you still did it, you still finished it, right? So that's what when life gives you, you heard the saying, right? If life gives you lemons, you make lemonade, right? You ever heard that saying before, right? Have you not heard it before? If life gives you lemons, you make lemonade. Like what's a lemon in life? Okay, I like the way you think, opportunity, but a lemon in life that as just something like hey, what's a lemon of a car? What's a lemon car? Remember, if you guys watch Cars, The lemons, remember the lemons? Like, what's a lemon car? A crappy car. When life gives you crap, and think about it, right? Do lemons taste good to eat by themselves? It's sour as heck, right? You're like, oh, right? You cannot drink a lemon juice by itself. You have to add sugar to make it taste better, sugar and water to make it better, to make lemonade, right? So that's why the saying is, if life gives you lemons, if life gives you something crappy, you turn it around to make it better, right? That's the idea behind that. Okay, so all right, so that's time management. Time management is if you're good with managing your time, or at least planning out or anticipating or planning out what's going to happen throughout the week. Let's say you have who here has more activities than one on their plate, like you're like something that's beyond school. How many activities do you do? Name them for me.
Scouts, Boy Scouts, track, but it's off season right now. And then I do volleyball, but
Okay, so they're not always on at the same time. What is on at the same time? What is going on at the same time? Boy Scouts and Girl Scouts?
what is it?
So do your parents know all the schedule, and do they because I've done it before. My son's in the Scouts, Boy Scouts too. And sometimes I forget they have meetings. Like, oh crap, I didn't do any meeting. Face palm, right? So but do a lot of the events coincide sometimes?
Yeah.
So you have to decide which one you want to go to, basically. Well, then do you tell your parents, hey, mom, dad, I want to go to this one, or I want to go to that one, or they tell you where to go?
Oh, I say which one I want to go to.
Okay.
Well, my mom's starting to figure out which one I'm at.
Okay. But then see, do you think that how would your parents feel, or like how would your parents look at you, right? When you're like, here's a schedule of my week, mom. Here, I'm just gonna give it to you now so you know what's going on. What would your parents think about you when you do that? Would they be impressed? They'd be like, oh, okay, cool. You're telling, you're kind of giving me your schedule and you're telling me what I need to pay attention to, right? So that's something that's already, and think about this, right? If your parents did go, oh, I'm impressed, how would you feel? You feel good or bad? You feel good, right? So would you want to impress your parents? I think I would. I would want to impress my parents, especially when they had to take me places, right? Because then, like at the end of the day, at the end of the week, at the end of the month, at the end of the year, they're like, oh, you know what? Yeah, you've been really good. I think you deserve something to reward you for that. And again, trust me on this. I'm a parent, right? And I've been a kid too. So that to me is like, oh, that would, if my kid started doing that, I'd probably, I'd be more inclined to buy him what he wants, right? Especially that he's giving me better management of his time, right? Because think about it, right? If you respect your own time, right, and then people respect your time, right? Think about that, right? If you manage your time well, and then you say, okay, look, here's my schedule, this and this. Oh, I can't do this now. I can't do that now. Oh, but I can do it here, right? And again, as little or as much activities you have in your life, right? But if you're good with your schedule, create that habit now. That's really what I'm trying to tell you. Is create that habit now. Because if you're really good with it now, how much better will you be when you get to a higher grade, get to college, you get a job, right? Then create those good habits. Because once you create a habit, right, it's a lot easier for your brain to operate. You have things, what they say, have your ducks in a row. Right, that's what it is. What other activities you guys do? Like, how about the guys that raised their hand over here? How many activities do you do?
School, soccer.
And what coincide? Like, are there events or like activities that coincide with each other, or like back to back, or?
Soccer and
Okay, so do your parents expect you? So what I guess my question is, do your parents know it already, or do they want you to tell them when, or how does it work?
I do soccer practices a week and then
So but do you think that it's always regular on the same time, same day, or like whenever the weekly? Okay, so there's a pattern, right? So is there much change in your schedule? Not really. So I guess your parents have a pattern they already know about it, right? to supplement that, I'm saying it's still a good idea to like create a schedule, at least, like a calendar. You can always go to online and download, some kind of a Word document, or, that you can manipulate or change, and put in stuff. And then, instead of, or you can even print one out and then just handwrite it, what I mean? No problem, right? And then stick it on the refrigerator and things like that. And just see how your parents react to that as far as your scheduling, you know what I mean? Like that time management, that's where you can start first. You can build value. You can build value, and you can build confidence in yourself when you've got a good system of time management. Telling you that right now. So that's definitely something that I want to share with you guys. So that's okay. So that's good for discussion there. I'm going to now, did anybody besides time? Okay, I'm gonna move on from that, right? So did anybody experience any hiccups with completing the packet, or kind of got lost somewhere, or maybe like I don't understand this, or anything like that? I guess this question is more for the younger crowd. If you're a junior, you're a senior, then I kind of hope and expect that you have a better understanding of that time management piece, especially when you're about to graduate from high school. You got senior events to do. If you're part of any other type of activities, right? So that's good. So no one experienced any hiccups with this. Now, did you find it was now who found it fairly easy to understand as far as the workbooks go? Yeah, kind of middle. Okay, middle of the road. So then for the individuals that that let's say that it wasn't that well, for the people that found it easy, right? Now my question is, what took so long? There you go. Right? That's my question, right? That's okay. That's a rhetorical question at this point. So, all right. So hopefully you guys, okay. So what I hope, okay, I noticed this right here. I'm gonna use an example, Brady, because you did it like this. Okay, if you see this on the screen, right? When this it says date on there, but you put words. So that to me is a like, that means it tells me you didn't understand the instructions there. Move over here. It says week 1 date, but you put expense, right? You put expense. So that to me, I have to give you back your packet, and I have to ask you to correct that. So if that's the case for you, and hopefully you guys didn't, hopefully that was just, I didn't mean to put you on the spot, but if you did that, you have to make sure that you follow the instructions, and it says date, right? And not a word, not a, so I'm gonna point that out right now. Now, so the budget, your budget's good. I like your budget, it's fine. Although, yeah, you have your week, so you have your month 3 here. I definitely would. So make sure that you complete all of this part right here. So we're gonna spend some time to finish this packet tonight, because this is something that I believe that's really, please don't leave that blank. All right, so like this is good for the most part, month 1, month 2. I think maybe we just for the night here. So even though it's all zero, but see there's a variance here. So that so that this is this should teach you proper record keeping. Okay, so that's what I want you to kind of understand about this. Okay, so proper record keeping, and even though there's no variance, there's no over under, right? Then you should put 0, right? So that's a part of tracking, is doing it properly, right? Part of good tracking. And again, it's about building the habits, building your good habits earlier on. Okay. All right. I'm not trying to be hard on you guys, because I know you guys are young. I'm trying to show you. And again, it's these are good like life lessons in earlier on. I really wish that when I was at your age, that actually my parents, I don't know if they knew about the scouts or didn't have the time to put me in the scouts, but I don't know. I don't know for sure now, right? Because I didn't go through it, right? But I would have liked to have someone kind of push me a little bit more when it comes to that. So that way, I think that for me, but see, it's hard for, you gotta understand this too. It's hard for parents to really determine how hard to push somebody, hard to push their child, right? Especially when, again, they're trying to feel you out. So it's kind of tough. And then there's always that, how do we do this, right? I'll guarantee you this, right? For anybody who's the oldest kid in the family, right? You're the first kid of your parents, right? They're trying to figure stuff out too. Right? So that's another thing that I gotta tell you, right? So we're like, for me, my 13-year-old, me when I was 13, I'm trying to relate things when I was 13, but we all know this, right? When I was 13, things were different from when you're 13 now, because there's a lot of what's available now, cell phones, electronics, they're so much easier to have. I was so excited in high school at 14 years old to pay for my own beeper. Like, what's a beeper? What the heck's a beeper, right? Beep, 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 right? But if you guys know what that is, right? It's one of those little small things that just showed the phone number or the number that you press on the phone. And then it was ultimately more cool was if you had voicemail. I laugh at it now because it's ridiculous, right? Like, now we have texting, right? Like, what do you need a voicemail for? Who leaves a voicemail nowadays, right? Like, no one. You just text somebody, right? What's the point of leaving a voicemail? They'll never check it. No. Well, who leaves voicemails? Bill collectors. That's who leaves voicemails. Or if they're trying to get your vote, no, you know what? Take that back. Trying to get your vote nowadays, they send text too, right? But yeah, lawyers that try to collect money, they're the ones who are going to leave a voicemail. All right. So, all right. What else? Let me see. What else I can talk for discussion here. So, yeah, I'll give you a chance to fix your workbooks. Now, I don't mind you guys leaving like one sentence answers for the some of the boxes, right? But if I feel like it was not an adequate answer, I'll point it out to you. So far so good for this one, but I guess just okay. So anybody here still need to work on their workbook for now? Anybody still need to spend some time to work on their workbook? No? Yes, you do? What parts do you need to work on still? Still quite a bit?
Yeah.
Okay. So I won't be able to sign your blue card tonight if you don't give me a completed packet. All right. So and then again, I'll have to just I'll give you a chance to finish it. And what I'll do here is that if I've done this for other students in this class, right? Is we'll set up a time in the future when you're ready to submit everything, right? That I can go ahead and review it, with you individually, and then sign off on your blue card then. Like I've done that for a few, and I don't mind doing that because I think that I do you no justice by just signing your blue card and saying, oh, you're done with the class. No justice at all. You won't learn anything. Right? You'll just feel good. You got this sign, and then you get your merit badge, and then you can move on. But that's not going to do you any justice, and that's not going to do you any good when as you leave this class. And I don't want to be, just I don't feel good signing off on a blue card when when I don't think that you actually got the value from the class. Right? So but don't take this as like I'm being like difficult on you, or if I'm like I don't like you or whatever like that. That's not it at all. But I think if you're in this class, right, you would expect a higher level of expectation from me, right, to be able to teach you something that's actually is valuable, right? That's what I expect. So yeah. So if you could, you have some. I mean, if you can just change, make sure you fix the dates on this here. I'm gonna do this back. Okay, so I'm glad you wrote it in pencil. If you wrote it in pen, now the one thing I also was like. The one thing that's difficult to determine for you guys right now, and if you filled in the dates for every day, thank you. That's exactly what I was actually expecting. But if you didn't do that, minimally, I would expect you to write down date, whatever that was, whatever transaction was, and then you write down the like if you followed, wasn't there an example in the workbook, right, for the tracking? They gave examples in the back, right? So that's what I thought maybe you guys were able to see that. So it's okay. I mean, we're all learning here. I get that, and I'm giving you a chance to fail and then learn. I don't know if I gave you guys this before, right? You can, you need to understand that failure is not it's not permanent, right? You guys, did I give you the acronym for fail? Did I give you that at all? No, really? So fail stands for first attempt in learning. Right? First attempt in learning. Now, if you fail over and over again, it just means you didn't learn the first time and you have to learn it again. Right? So you have to reset. So what did I do? You can always take information from the last time you failed and fail forward. Or you can fail forward. Failing forward is fine. And if do you guys, anybody here know about the Shark Tank, the show? You do know, okay. Do you know who Robert Herjavec is? So Robert Herjavec is a famous shark that went from 0 to 100+ million in net worth, right? So and he did that, and he's very famous for saying, you know what? I failed forward. So he says that I failed so many times. I failed more times than you've ever tried. That's how confident he is, right? So I'm not afraid of failing because I know I'll learn something in the process, right? So that's, again, don't be afraid of failing. The only reason why you feel bad about failing is because you feel like you've fallen behind amongst your peers, right? But that's a flawed way of thinking, right? So the correct way of thinking is, you know what? I failed. What can I learn from this? And let me fail forward and still move forward. Right? If you fail and then you think to yourself, you know what? I'm no good. I don't think, I can't do this. I'm not good enough, right? Then you're failing backwards. You're failing backward. Don't do that, right? Don't fail backwards. Right? So I want you guys to kind of make those corrections on your workbook now. And if you need me to help you out, let me review. Let me take a look at yours if you've got yours completed. Let me see if you feel like you got yours completely done. And then I'll get done too. And then, you for sure. I'll make sure for the seniors in the group, I want to make sure you guys are squared away and you guys are ready to move on here. Yeah, so we'll keep working on that. I'm gonna keep on. I also wanted to show you guys a video, right? And this is something that's very, very important to me because I believe that as we grow up, as we learn things and we go about life, right? That we hear messages from different people, right? We hear messages, and of course, we trust and believe the people that are closest to us most of the time, right? Sometimes that when you hear something you like, and you will gravitate toward that message because it's something that you like. But if your understanding is biased, then your bias may gravitate you toward that thinking, and sometimes that thinking isn't always the best way to think. Okay, I'll leave it at that. Again, none of us are perfect. We all make mistakes. I've made plenty of mistakes of my own. Trust me. I probably failed. I'm much older, but I failed a lot to the point where I know that, even now, right? I always believe that I haven't learned enough yet. I'm still learning. There's still things I'm still learning and growing forth. This is good. This is a really old. This is an an 08 workbook. Wow. When did you get this? I mean, you weren't. Were you born in 08? No, I'm just kidding. I'm kidding.
I think I started.
You're like 7th grade still when you started this?
I did it. I did most of it during the summer camp. I forgot which one. It was like 3 or 4 years ago.
Right, okay. This looks like I've never seen this workbook before. Like, I don't even know if it's available online anymore. Like I don't know if they take this down. At some point. Did you fill in this part here? No, these are not filled in.
Yeah, if we didn't have to.
You didn't have to do it? What do you mean?
When we did it at the summer camp, we just like.
Well, I mean, so now that you're not with that summer camp, you're with me now. I can't sign up on your blue card if you don't fill it. I asked everybody to fill in all the blanks. You got the email I sent? Did you read it? So I mean, I would. Are you a senior this year?
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's I know different marriage bad counselors have different expectations, right? And as far as I understand it, it's still my call to sign up on your blue card, right? So that to me, if you feel like you didn't need to do this, then I don't want you to miss out on the psychology. This is so the thing about money and the thing about handling finances, right? What do you think is more important when it comes to handling money? The math or the psychology? Sorry? Psychology. So if you think it's all about the math, that's where you're going to lose. You're going to lose a lot of money that way because the math is not really it. It's not about the math. It's not about making sure all the numbers add up at the end of the day. Because if you don't know how to handle the money itself in your hand, right, you're going to let go of that money faster than you can make it. Trust me on that. Because if you don't think that's true, then think about all the people. I mean, you will never probably know this, but think about all the people that have these nice things and have zero savings. Right? They're in debt. Right? They're in major debt. They're paying for credit. They're buying rims with credit. They're paying for rims with credit. Right? They're buying their cars, and once they pay it off, they trade it in for less than value, and then they get a brand new car and get another payment, and they're going to stay in debt forever. That's the one thing that I know I never wanted to do, is stay in debt forever. Right? So that's why I believe that the sections that for instance, right? So explain the concept of buyer's remorse.
When you buy something and then after a while it brings you a lot less joy than you expected it to.
Okay. Buyer's remorse is also a big contributor for debt. Right? So that's very important to know. So, and with these being blank, I don't know if you understand. I don't know if you got the concept. I get that. It's awesome. But I think that the exercise. So did I explain to you guys about the exercise of like taking notes in school? Like that? Did I ever explain that? No, right? Okay. So did you know that you have your conscious brain and you have a subconscious mind? You guys know that? Do you guys understand the mind-body connection? So the mind-body connection. See, this is getting to psychology a little bit. Mind-body connection, right? Actually, it's not just psychology. It's also biology. It's also neuroscience. Neuroscience is very important. I think if you were here when I showed that video, very, very important that, for some of you, it won't register just yet. But if you were exposed to the concepts ahead of time, then you're going to understand. So, yes, I mean that wasn't that much actually to fill in. So so yeah, if you could, it's hard to like, I didn't want to like, but I'll give this back to you for a second and see if you can fill that in for me. Okay, so and again, I'm not, I don't know what the process is for back then, and I don't know why the counselors, said that, but as I understand it, and I went to the BSA about this, right? They said that, well, you're in control of signing the blue cards and requiring what you need to require for the class. So my simple requirement was to complete the packet in full, right? So answer all the questions, do all the worksheets, and to me, I thought that was a simple enough request. So we'll go with that. Okay, so I'll so anybody else here feel like they've completed their packet completely? Okay. So all right, so let's do. I'll show this video right now since we have a. I'll take a pause, right? So I can actually review some of the packets. But I have a 13-minute video I want to share with you guys here, right? And this is a good one. This is a really interesting one for you guys. So if you're still filling out your packet, you can kind of pause it for now, right? This is called be mindful of how you speak. Okay, so, and this guy right here, I'm not sure if I shared this with you guys yet. Evan Carmichael is a channel on YouTube. And this is a lot of these things are psychology based, like thinking about how to speak, thinking about how to motivate yourself, right? How to improve relationships with people, right? Not just like boyfriend, girlfriend, or like, I'm talking about like parents, friends, right? Teachers, overall, right? Overall, this helps you in life because I really felt like, growing up, I bumped heads with a lot of people, but it was only because the way I was communicating was just unfocused or unguided. But I really believe this, right? Be mindful of how you speak, and this will be good for the ladies here because she's a role model to follow for ladies, right? And this is an under 14-minute video. Actually, yeah, it's 14 minutes long, so this won't be that long to watch, right? But here we go. And I'll work on your packet right now, Max.
Instead of saying sorry, try saying thank you.
We need to stop using weak language.
Weak language.
You can talk yourself into trouble.
All right.
Rise and shine. It's espresso time. What's up, Believe Nation? It's Evan. I believe in you, and this channel is designed to be a part of your daily success routine. So let's start your day out right together. Grab your coffee and sip on today's message. Be mindful of how you speak. Over to you, Mel Robbins. Also, if you want to know what Mel Robbins and other successful entrepreneurs have to say about building unstoppable confidence, check out my 254 Confidence series, where every day for the next 254 days, I will send you a morning video for free to help you build your confidence. The link to join is in the description below.
Everybody's problem comes down to one pattern you're repeating that you can't see. When you set goals, when you have an intention on something that you want to change about your life, your brain helps you. And if you're somebody that's watching this and you have no clue what you want, I'm going to say that's total bull.
Yeah. Oops. Hang on. Let's do this. I messed up on the video.
But recently somebody else said, oh, well, instead of saying sorry.
There you go. Okay. Let me back up a second. Screen. There we go. All right.
I can't remember who I learned this from, but recently somebody else said, oh, well, instead of saying sorry, try saying thank you. So when you run into a meeting and you're late, oh, sorry, I'm late, or to a call, say thank you for your patience. And that one line has changed everything for me. And what I've come to realize is that when I say I'm sorry, it's all about me and I'm making myself wrong. And when I say thank you, I'm actually acknowledging the other people around me. And you can find that you can substitute that line in almost every instance. And I was very surprised by how often, without even thinking about it, I was saying sorry. I was telling everybody the story that even yesterday I was in a yoga class and somebody fell over on the, and kind of hit me. And I'm like, oh, I'm sorry. What? No, just like I could have said, are you okay? Instead of I'm sorry. The other thing, I use so much qualifying language when I speak, and I never knew it until I was on CNN. And then you have the horrifying experience of having to watch yourself on video. I had no idea how often I said, I think, or actually, or, like all of these qualifiers.
Maybe.
Yeah, it takes the precision and the force out of your language and the way that you speak. And I had no idea how often I was being equivocal.
You have the power to control your world, how you think, how you act, your mindset with the words that you speak. When you use weak language, you signal to yourself that you are weak. You signal to yourself that your goals aren't important. You signal to yourself that you are not worth it. You lose respect for yourself, and the people around you don't respect you either. We need to stop using weak language and pay attention to the words that you're speaking to others and to yourself. Now, this is not an easy task because most of the words that you're using, the way that you talk to others or to yourself, you're on autopilot, you're on cruise control. It just happens. You've been doing this for years or decades. And so switching it is not going to happen overnight. But if you pay attention to the next 3 things that I'm going to share with you, it can have a dramatic impact on your self-confidence, on the goals that you have for yourself, and the outcomes you create for yourself in the world. Let's do it. Number 1, I can't, I'm not, I don't. What you say after those 3 things shapes your identity. It speaks to how you think and speak about yourself. So I can't be an entrepreneur. I can't be a leader. I can't be a YouTuber. I can't. Especially this one. When you say I can't, pay very, 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 very close attention to what follows and try to shift it from I can't to either I choose not to or I can't yet. I'm not a good salesperson. I'm not funny. I'm not the kind of person who follows through. Again, pay close attention and try to shift it to not yet. I don't program. I don't know how to make money. I don't think like that. Switch. I don't to I don't yet. I can't, I'm not, I don't. Those statements are final. Those statements don't allow for growth. Those statements are how you feel about yourself and don't allow for the stretch. They don't allow you to get better. And so either eliminate them from your vocabulary or change them to get. Number 2 is catch your cruise control. The way that you have been speaking about yourself, the way that you have been talking to yourself has been happening using the same words for years, maybe even decades. It's so automatic for you. You are on cruise control. You are on autopilot. You think small and talk negatively about yourself without even thinking about it. You need to catch your cruise control. And listen, don't be too hard on yourself. This is so ingrained. These patterns have been around for so long. You are just auto defaulting to cruise control that most of these times you will not even catch it. You will not catch 99% of these moments, of these words, of these languages that you're using for yourself. But if you have the awareness, if you have the intention, if you have the desire, every now and then you will catch it. Another quick hack is to enlist a friend, enlist the people around you, your wife, your husband, your team, your kids especially. My son Hayden loves calling me out on things. Enlist their help. Tell them, this is where I want to play a bigger game. This is where I'm frustrated with myself. This is where I keep talking badly about myself and put myself down. These are the words, the language that I need to change. And every time you hear me talking this way, I need you to bring it to my awareness and let me know because I want to catch my cruise control. For me personally, it's around complaining. Anytime I complain, I want my wife, I want my team, I want my son, I want the people around me to say, Evan, you are complaining. Right there, that was a complaint. Eat it, right? I'm happy for them to hug me with it, to yell at me with it. I just want them to let me know. Now, when I told everybody, they said, listen, you barely complain. You're like the least complaining person that we know. Awesome, thank you, I'm humbled, but I still complain. And I probably complain a lot, and a lot of the times I'm missing it. And so please, 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 even if you think I'm great at it, If you catch me complaining, I want you to call me out on it. So enlisting your friends can be really helpful because you will likely not catch most of them yourself, but it's imperative that you start working on catching your cruise control. Step number 3 is manual override. You have caught your cruise control. You have found the autopilot. It's about to happen again. This negative talk that you're about to speak out into the world about yourself or your ideas, you putting yourself down is about to come out again or has just come out. What do you do about it? Because this is really important. If you catch yourself playing small or talking negatively about yourself, if you catch it and you don't do anything, it actually makes it worse. It's better that you don't even catch it at all. If you catch it and you recognize I am playing small right now, and you ignore it and you don't change your behavior, you are building that identity for yourself that you are somebody who is playing small. You are consciously building that identity for yourself and you need to stop it. It makes it worse. Where when you do catch it, when you find yourself falling into those patterns, those behaviors that you don't want anymore, whether you find it yourself or somebody's calling you out on it, what do? You need to kick your manual override into action and take the action that you want, because that starts building the positive habit. That starts building the positive respect. This is how you build respect for yourself. This is how you start building the muscle. This isn't just a zero-sum game. This isn't just we go back to neutral. When you catch it, you either go sliding down or you go propelling up. The choice is yours. When you catch yourself playing small, when you catch yourself coming off of cruise control, you have to do the thing that builds the self-respect up and speak positively about yourself and do the thing that you are scared to do. Now, as a quick little bonus tip, I like to catch it in other people as well. There are some key phrases that when people say, it triggers me into calling somebody else out on it in a really friendly way, but makes them think. And so one of them for me is when people sign off and say, take it easy. When I've had a great conversation with somebody or meeting them one-on-one and we leave, they say, take it easy. I always stop. Maybe I'm heading out the door, maybe I'm about to hang up the phone, or I'm using the phone, but on the computer, I'm about to hang up, they're about to get into their car, or I'm about to leave. I stop, and I come back in, and I say, never tell me to take it easy. I get the intention. The intention is good. They're just throwing words out there. Intention is good. But what are they saying? I don't want to take it easy. Even if it means relaxing, even if it means I'm going to go on vacation, I'm going to have a great weekend, I don't want to take it easy. I want to have the best weekend of my life. I want to have the best vacation of my life. Don't tell me to take it easy. And so when I call somebody out on it, it forces them to not only examine that one sentence, it forces them to examine the other words that they're just throwing out there. And if I do it enough for people, the next time they tell somebody else to take it easy at the end, they catch themselves too. Because those are not the words that they want to use. If you sat down at the end of a conversation and say, these are the final words that I'm going to tell somebody before they go on with their day, what do I want those words to be? It makes you think. Because it probably won't be take it easy. Now I've got a really special bonus tip that I think you're going to enjoy, but before that, it's time for the question of the day. I want to know what is the one phrase or self-talk that you need to be more mindful of. Leave your answer in the comments below.
You are posed more deals. Trying to doing things like think about it. Let's clean up our mouths. How we say what we say and who we say it to. Do you know you can talk yourself into trouble? A lot easier than you can talk yourself out of it. But if you become mindful about what you're speaking, it'll be a lot easier to handle some of the things that come up in your life with speaking. Years and years and years ago, I learned a secret. I used to open my pocketbook, my purse. I'd get right down over it and I'd say, fill yourself with divine substance right now. Oh, you look at all that abundance just pouring down right now. Ooh. I name everything and I speak to everything. My car got a name. I say, Gracie, how you doing this morning? Come on, we going traveling. My house got a name, Villanova, the big vision. I'm mindful of my mouth because I know that what comes out of my mouth must be created. Everything begins with a word. So we either want to stop speaking about how horrible our children are doing, or how bad people are doing, or how bad things are. Here's an affirmation. Oh my, I can hardly wait to see the good that's gonna come out of this, no matter what it is. As opposed to using our power to continue to affirm what's wrong, what's broke, what ain't working, what's not happening, how horrible it is. Let's speak life into things. Let's speak life into our children. Let's speak life into our families, into our relationships. I can't tell you the number of people who write me and say, I need you to help me with my crazy family. Well, they're your family. I didn't even know that kind of crazy you got over there. This is just what I be thinking, and then I bless my head so that that thought will go away. But what if we started saying, wow, I know it looks like Boo-Boo, my cousin, is having difficulty right now, but I see a brighter day for you. It's what Emmett Fox called gold keying, where you key something up with the radiant richness of what you want it to be, as opposed to affirming it as it is right now, as it is right now. So we want to clean up our mouths and what we say about each other.
So let me give you the one word secret to happiness. One word. This is all you need to be happy.
It's the most important word ever. If you have to think of one word
So
that's most important.
why do you think, I mean, for you guys that paid attention, or ladies that paid attention, what do you think, what did you get from that video? What did you get from being mindful of how you speak?
It's not selfish to speak, like to include other people, like the first thing you said, like you walk in the room if you're late, you say thank you for.
Be patient, yeah. What do you think? What do you think that effect has on other? I mean, when someone says, "Oh, sorry, I'm late," okay. I mean, yeah, you're like, okay, yeah, okay, whatever, you know. But what is it? What kind of effect happens when you say, "Oh, thank you for your patience"? Right? What's negative versus positive speak? Like if you're generally a person that if you wake up in the morning and then suddenly like you're in a bad mood, right? How does the rest of your day feel like? Like that's it, yeah.
It's I mean, with that example, like walking into a room and doing something that you
Yeah.
You kind of like, oh, that's different, and then like kind of be more willing to like be more understanding with them.
Yeah. That, you know, it changes you could say the atmosphere, the air, you know. I mean, oh, hey, that's something I've not heard before, right? When I say thank you, you know, because if you think about also some of the words you say to yourself, I mean, and the second part of that video, it talks about, oh, I can't do this, or I don't know how, or this is that. It's so definitive. It's so like, oh, is that it? Right? Because you're telling yourself that. Remember, I was telling you guys about your conscious brain and your subconscious brain, right? So I was gonna go into a little bit of a discussion here with, or a lecture, I guess we'd say, more like a lecture than a discussion, about what it means, right? When you're actually like when you're writing something, when you're taking notes, right? And I want to recognize Kendall. You took notes during that video, that first video I showed, and I saw the notes you took on the bottom there. Very, you know, that's really good, because here's the thing, right? I'm not done with your packet yet. I'm not working on it, right? So when you hear something, right? So how many senses do we have? Senses. How many senses do we have? 5, right? What are they? Touch, taste. Yeah. Right. So you have those, right? So when you hear something, right? When you hear something, that's one part of your brain working. Okay, that's one part. So if you hear something, you ever heard that phrase like, oh, it's in one ear, not the other, right? Now, when you take notes, you're hearing something, something important. I'm kind of scratching around, but I'm making a point here, right? Something important. And whether or not you look back at your notes ever again, you do something very powerful for your brain. The more senses you're using, it's a cop car. The more senses you're using at the same time, the better your brain creates a synapse. A synapse is something that's your brain creates. It's something that something happens to your brain when it creates a synapse. So you learn something brand new, a novel experience. You know what novel experience is? You've heard of the novel coronavirus, right? You've heard that before, right? What does the word novel mean? Anybody know?
Unknown.
Brand new, right? So something that's brand new. If it's brand new to us, it's a novel experience. Even though the experience already exists, right, somewhere out there, it's new to us. So when you create a synapse with using multiple senses, how do you think your memory reacts? Do you think it's going to be better for your memory or worse for your memory? What do you think I'm trying to get to, right? When you create a synapse in your brain, right, with multiple senses, do you think it's better or worse for retention? Sorry? Better, right? It's like when you work out your muscles, right? You know, anybody here like exercise normally? Maybe? Okay. So if you don't, it's fine, but you're doing things in your daily life that you're exercising, right? But think about it in the physical sense. I'm gonna relate that, right? So physical sense is, you know what it means to compound a movement, like in exercising, right? What does it mean? Multiple all at once, right? So when you're doing a synapse with multiple senses, you're doing a compound motion with your brain. That sounds like college stuff level here, but you guys can understand that. You guys are smart. Everybody in here is smart if you choose to be, right? So and the people that apply themselves, they do compound motions, not just with their bodies, but with their brains, right? So when you're hearing information, right, and you're writing it down, right, that helps you retain information better. That's why you take notes in school, right? The people that like, oh, I'm gonna record this and listen to it later. You listen to it later. I tell you right now, if you record something to listen to it later, you'll never listen to it ever again. You'll forget about it because you're gonna move on to different information. So it's best to take notes, right? And then the best thing you can do for yourself is actually read back your notes at some point in time, whether it's 7 days later, a month later, a year later, it's okay. But what happens when you read those notes again later on? So it makes more sense. You remember it more, right? And then what happens, right? So you let time pass. Okay, you let time pass and you're experiencing different things, right? When you go back to those notes, you're like, oh, now this makes sense. Now I understand it better. And now you have this real strong synapse in your brain that it makes the if you ever seen your brain, I don't know if you've probably never seen this, but here's like let's say this is part of your brain right here, right? This is part of your brain, and this is a little synapse that happened, right? So it's like it almost even looks like that, but as you keep on strengthening, it actually builds more. It builds more connections, the same way, like synapse. Now I'll show you an example real quick. And this is something that really fascinates me. This is an actual. This is actual brain scans that was done by a site. Well, you know, it's Dr. Joe Dispenza, right? And I'll show you right here. It's under Mexico. There we go. I'll just put it right there. He did a talk in Mexico. Yeah, this is it right here. Okay, this is actually at the park. I'm gonna show you this part.
To walk, all of us, and you would experience. They want the adventure. They live for it.
I'm just gonna show you what it looks like.
Then you must be addicted to those unconsciously creative aspect of ourselves. That's when the body moves into homeostasis. We go
So
from
this stuff is like,
contraction to
okay, it's
expansion.
very hard to understand some of this
There's
stuff
an
if you're not
abolition,
familiar with the
there's
words.
body
It's
repairs
okay.
itself, there's order, you stop. Things in people in their
I'm gonna
life.
try to find it. This thing's a really long. You know what? I watched this whole thing, by the way, from start to finish. It's like, it's pretty much, it's mind blowing. Oh, here we go. Maybe this is this part right here.
People tend to go from a narrow focus to possibility, to an open focus. They feel connected to their vision. They feel connected to people. They feel connected to something greater. They're already, your brain did this.
Here we go, here we go. Oh, here we go.
So the same behavior. So the same behavior, which creates the same experience, that produces the same feeling, and you say, oh gosh. And then, of course, the feeling is usually unworthiness or guilt, and you return back to the same self.
Here we go. Let me see this. Let me show you guys this. Hold on. Okay, let's.
I want to show you one slide, okay?
There you go.
I want to show you what it looks like
There you go.
when you learn something new. You have 100 billion neurons in your brain. 100 billion neurons. The number of connections you have in one neuron is between 10,000 and 40,000 connections. If you took 100 billion sheets of paper and you stacked them on top of each other, it would be 5,000 miles high. That's the distance from Los Angeles to London. If you took a scoop of gray matter, the size of a grain of sand, you would have 100,000 neurons in it with over 1 billion connections.
It's in
Now-
your brain right now. I'm telling you.
I'll stop right after this slide. Learning is making new synaptic connections.
Learning.
Every time you learn something new, this is what's happening in your brain, geniuses. If you learned one bit of information today, your brain did this. Boom, that's learning.
That's it there. That little connection is synapse.
Physical evidence as a result of your interaction in the environment. Every time you learn something in your brain, there's a physical change that takes place, and learning is making new connections. Are you with me?
Right there.
This is how fast it happens, too.
Real time.
That's learning. If you learn anything this week, you've made a footprint. If learning is making new synaptic connections, then if you keep firing the same thoughts over and over again, you're going to wire them in your brain. So then if learning is making new synaptic connections, then remembering is maintaining them. And all of a sudden,
There you
they
go.
develop a long-term relationship. And just like any relationship, the more you communicate, the more they connect.
The stronger
And
it
neurons
gets.
are exactly the same way.
That stuff is like mind blowing to me. Like, whoa. Like, really?
Now, as you
Okay.
begin to learn information, neurons tend to assemble themselves into networks, or what's called neural networks. And neural
There it is.
networks are just gangs of neurons that have fired and wired together to form a community of neurosynaptic connections that's related to a thought, a skill, a habit, a behavior.
Thoughts, skill, habit,
concepts.
behaviors. Okay, very important to remember that.
And neural networks are automatic programs. You have a neural network to brush your teeth, to put on makeup, to speak a language, to walk. All of a sudden, those neurons then form a hardware circuitry. But if you keep repeating it, the hardware becomes a software program and it becomes automatic. So then-
I'll stop right there. That's the pretty much I wanted to show you the real-time synapse connections that happen in your brain. So what am my whole point in showing you that, right, is that that's the importance of taking notes, is to create that habit, right? And you strengthen that. So if you remember it, you strengthen that habit, right? So that's part of why I'm telling you, writing down. So if you're in school and you're getting bored because you're not vibing with the topic or whatever, then guess what? You're disconnecting, and your brain is basically dormant, right? Yeah, you're thinking about something else, right? But what you're not doing is you're not growing yourself, and you're pretty much cheating yourself by being in school and not learning. You're cheating yourself. You really are wasting time. So that's I'm hoping that you would take that information and go. It fascinates you to like, hey, you know what else can I learn? What else can I build? What other habits can I create for myself? Right? Because this is the start of it. You're all very lucky that you have parents that really care about you enough that they're going to, what do they do, right? How much does it cost to be in Scouts, right? Maybe you don't know that answer, your parents do, but they had the forethought enough to put you into the scouts to be like, hey, look, there's some value you're gonna get from it, right? And this is pretty much what you're gonna get, right? The value. So here's where I wanted to, I have to review your packets before I can sign off on your blue cards, right? So I want to do that for you guys right now. So at this point, right, if you know, I wanted to show you one more video, but if you're, it's about 30 minutes long. It's the top 10 rules for success from Kobe Bryant. Right? Top 10 rules of success from Kobe Bryant. And you guys know Kobe Bryant, right? You guys know. You guys, if you're in LA, you guys know who he is. Not even gonna lie. Right? So it's rules. And it's actually a video that Evan Carmichael made. So I think it's supposed to be, hold on a second. Oh, I think you're the Mamba mentality. Okay, hold on. Let me see. This is a long one, not this one. I think he changed the channel's name. He put it under like top 10 rules of success. I think this is it. Oh, you know what? Let me see if I can find it on my on X. No, I think it's not this one. Hold on. It's about half an hour long. I'm gonna go here to my playlists. No, not that. Not that. Back. Nope. I can't see my playlist. Maybe this is it. Okay. Somewhere up there. It's Michael Jordan. Oh, here it goes. I think this is it. No, it's not. No, not. Hold on a second. Let me. I guess. Okay, hold on. I think this is it. No.
He's a basketball player who currently plays for the LA Lakers.
He's a 17-time NBA All-Star.
He became the youngest player in NBA history to reach 30,000 career
So it's on this
points.
line.
He's Kobe Bryant, and here are his top 10 rules for success.
There's a choice we have to make as people, as individuals. If you want to be great at something, you have to inherit sacrifices that come along with that. Family time, hanging out with your friends. So at the age of 18, I knew that I was not going to be stopped. This was my life. We all can be masters at our craft, but you have to make sacrifices that come along with making a decision. Once you have passion, think that you're passionate about other people or other entities or other works of art, and you can draw things from that to help you be better at what you do. by looking for those common denominators. Which I don't even know, how do I prepare? How do I prepare? How do I study? How do I review the game? How do you build your game? And my response is much like the way he builds products. And you think sequentially. Yeah, you look at this, the end result of what you want to create, but in order to create that, there's so many other little things that go into this massive entity device. It's no different than building a basketball game. You start with what do you want your game to be? What would make your game most unstoppable or hard to deal with? And now you work backwards from there. And you start building it one piece at a time, one move at a time, one counter at a time. So there's a lot of similarities there.
Just looking, get to the point. Has to put it up for the buzzer. Bounce it! That's in the three.
Well, yeah, you just gotta have the fearlessness to really take those shots, you know, because if you miss those shots, then you have to deal with the criticism, you have to deal with us talking about it, right? But right, so you know, and a lot of times, a lot of people kind of get apprehensive about taking those shots because of that.
Well, I wouldn't mention it, seemed like you started smiling already, just thinking it out.
Yeah, well, it's always been a myth to me as to why certain people don't really like those situations because of the pressure, you know, because we've all lost games before. So it's not like by you missing that shot, you're about to face something that you'll never face again or haven't faced in the past. You know what I mean? We've all come up short at one time or another. So you just gotta kind of let it all hang out and trust your skills and trust the work that you put in.
Play it again, out between the wings, started by Pippen. Kobe on the move. Loud for a while.
That means taking things, using things in your life that are scars, using those moments as a weapon, right? Using basketball as kind of like a vehicle through which to express yourself, right? So at that moment, for us to face the Celtics again, it's not about the Celtics. It's not about your opponent. It's about you. It's about you taking your inner struggles and channeling that through the game, right? As a way to unleash, right? So now it became a matter of how do I express that to them? How do I get them to that point where they figure this out for themselves? Because I can't say, hey, listen, I need you to play hard. So what you do? Well, I had to share my story. I had to open up to them and let them know I've dealt with it. This is the things that I use. This is how I go about focus. This is how I deal with adversity. This is how I deal with, arguing with my wife the day of the game and showing up to the game and still having that focus to be able to play. Like I use those things to open up with them. And then in turn, they were able to take those stories and make them their own.
Well, you just got to put one foot in front of the other. And, sometimes I think, even for myself, it's easy to become distracted a little bit, start trying to look at what the final picture is going to look like. And, when you do that, you can easily become frustrated with where you are at the moment. So, my advice is just to focus on each day. And, you have a plan in place of how you want to improve and how you want to get better. And you stick to that plan and trust the fact that, every day that you, stick to the plan, it'll get you to your end result.
I'm not going to be afraid of confrontation to get us to where we need to go. I think there's a big misconception that people think winning or success comes from everybody putting their arms around each other and saying kumbaya and patting them on the back when they mess up, and that's just not reality. If you're going to be a leader, you're not going to please everybody. You got to hold people accountable, even if
even if you have that moment of being uncomfortable.
Matter of fact, put your hands off. Don't touch the rest of the script. Put your hands off.
I always compare it to sitting across from somebody at a dinner table or sitting across from each other. And would you rather sit with a person that's going to be afraid to tell you have something in between your teeth and let you walk around a restaurant smiling and stuff like that when you got stuff in between your teeth? Or would you rather sit with somebody that's not afraid to have that moment of being uncomfortable to tell you you have something in your teeth so you can get it out and don't look like an idiot in front of everybody else? All right, I'm gonna tell you have something in your teeth. No matter what, even if it hurts my feelings, I'm gonna tell you have something in your teeth. I'm gonna tell you, and then it's your choice if you want to get it out or you just want to leave it there and look like an idiot. It's everybody wants to compete. I think it's knowing how to compete, and also, true competitive instinct really kicks in when you're down. Like I said, a lot of people are competitive at things that are rolling their way. Things that they're naturally good at. But it takes a true competitive person to, when things are down like this, to really step up to the plate and go after it.
So what Kobe does best, and that's bring people to their feet with a sensational play.
No, it's of utmost importance. Like I was such a diehard Laker fan growing up, man. And just my personality, like for me to ask for a trade or to go play someplace else to try to chase a championship, that's not me. That's not what my career has been about. That's not who I am. I stay with it. Stuff that I've been through in my life and been through in my career. It's taught me anything. It's the fact that you'll have good moments, you have bad moments, you have great moments, you have horrible moments. You just keep going through all of them and things work themselves out.
You talk about elevation. Since he went up to the rafters before he decided to put somebody on a post.
I've always had some of my best performances on the road. With fans, boom. Absolutely love it. Thrive. They don't understand who I am. Not only am I comfortable being outside, that has become a source of motivation. So when I go to these places, yeah.
They'd love to get into Tenash's hands, and they do. Well, knocked away. There it is. Scores to Kobe Bryant. Bryant, 1-point game. So Bryant with the save. Final seconds. Bryant for the win.
Gets to the gym at 4:30 in the morning to see Kobe drenched in sweat because he jumped in the pool. And then Kobe wants to make him do conditioning and weights for a couple hours. So then when the trainer goes to sleep after a few hours, he comes back to the gym and he sees that Kobe never left the gym at all because he had to make sure that he made 800 shots before he left after he'd been working out for hours and hours. But do you think this is new to me? This is an excerpt from Shaq's book talking about Kobe. Well, they had a few. So he says he was so young and so immature in some ways, but I can tell you this, everything Kobe is doing now, he told me all the way back then he was going to do it. We were sitting on the bus once and he told me, I'm going to be the #1 scorer for the Lakers. I'm going to win 5 or 6 championships and I'm going to be the best player in the game. I was like, okay, whatever. Then he looked me right in the eye and said, I'm going to be the best. Yeah, Shaq used to say he would catch Kobe Bryant on the gym, in the court, without a ball, practicing plays. This is who he is. It's just ingrained in him every time. The slight edge, Shaq said, this is funny looking, but it's probably out there. A lot of people they say that they're going to do something. Kobe Bryant doesn't, right? Talk is cheap, but Kobe did it because he competes with himself every single day. He wants more out of himself every single day.
It's that competitive drive to be the best that carries him through practices, it carries him through the weight training sessions, conditioning, making sure that he gets 800 shots every day. It carries him to work on his craft and no one is watching.
Oh yeah. 81-point game.
Ladies and gentlemen, you have witnessed the second greatest scoring performance in NBA history.
Thank you guys so much for watching.
All right, so I'm gonna move it back to this right here. Just take a look at this. Let me see if it goes away if I do it long enough. But you see his top 10 rules for success. Now, bless you. Now, think about it like this, okay? Yeah, yes, Kobe Bryant was a great basketball player. He had like this, they called it Mamba mentality, right? So the things that I take away from that Mamba mentality, right, is that these top 10 rules for him, this is actually, it was a part one, because he actually, Evan Carmichael made a few other videos. Now, like, it was like a part 2, a part 3, and a part 4, and a part 5. Top 10. So it's like top 50 rules for success, and they're all different too. So if you look at, if you got to define success for you, right? And you can't, whatever that is your decision, right? But if you feel like your life isn't what you want it to be at this point, then you have to start to imagine what that is, right? Imagine what that is, and then work toward that goal. But if you didn't even have a picture that you're imagining, right? How could you really hope to end up where you want to be, right? That's what I really want to take a look at with this top 10 rules of success. And think about it, right? He kept on going. He wasn't done yet. You know that he could have done something much more greater had he still been alive today, right? But what that means for you is that if you can, do you think that if you got 1% of his mentality, that you could achieve much more than you could right now? Just that one, based on what, not 100% of what he's doing, just 1%, right? If you can capture 1% of that mentality, that you could achieve whatever you wanted to achieve, greater than what you could have done thus far, right? I think you could, like, even for me, right? So the one thing here is that number 10, the compete with yourself, right? Think about it, right? What does competing with yourself mean to you? You get to check. Did you get to fix that all or no? Let me take a look at it again. Yeah. So what do you think? While we're still discussing this, because I think it's in your best interest to really know about that. What do you think it means to compete with yourself?
Like always be better than what you were.
Always be better what?
Than what you were.
Than what you were. But what does that mean necessarily, that always be better than what you were? Like what does that mean? Like, okay, so what does that mean? We can describe for you. Like, what does it mean to you? Always improve on yourself, right? So always believe that you can do better. You have one ahead? I'm sorry? Yeah, push yourself. Yeah, push yourself. Now, when you feel like giving up, that should be the moment that you're like, you know what? I can't give up. Right? If you feel like, be competitive when it's hard, right? That's like when it gets really hard. Like, let's say you're in school, right? And you're like, maybe you're a straight A student. Fine, right? Awesome. That's good for you. Keep that up. But if you think you're at a point in your life now where you're like, you know what, everything is going great, I don't need to change anything, right? What happens to you when you start thinking like that? You start to decline. Yeah, you start to go down. That's why, if you think you're at the best point in your life now, I mean, you're not even like 18 yet, right? There's still more to go, right? So you should really be thinking about, what, and here's the thing too, right? How can I help others? Is another big one, right? So in scouts, right? You learn about being loyal, being kind, being, of service, right? To others, right? So how can you, and then here's another one, right? Is how can you help other people, feel good too, right? That's I think that's a big part of our own lives, right? If we believe that, our lives are just more than ourselves, right? And and I think that most of us will believe that our life is just more, it's greater than ourselves, right? That if you do believe that, right, then here's what I'll tell you, right? You need to understand that, the part about saying thank you, right? Thank you if you're late. I'm sorry, thank you for your, don't say sorry, but say, thank you for your patience, I appreciate it, right? So that's being thoughtful of others, right? So again, once you start changing your language and how you think about yourself, and maybe when there's a point where, oh, you know what, I don't know if I can do this, but I'm gonna learn, I'm gonna try to figure it out, right? That's gonna be your main focus. That's gonna be what you want to do to improve, right? So here's some discussion for you guys. I wanted to ask you. So while I'm trying to complete some of your packets here and figure out how to get you guys to really think bigger, right, for yourself, right? So give me some ideas, give me some thoughts here. What did you get from this class, this merit badge, and what do you think? Give me that first one first. What did you learn or get from this class? Anybody want to play?
I learned how to I learned to fully understand how I'm spending and how useless things are while I'm spending
Okay, that's good. Now, okay, so what did you, now what's the, if you guys were here for that first class and I showed you something that, remember the A Tale of Two Sabers, remember that one, right? So what do you think you should have gotten from that one? What should you have learned from A Tale of Two Sabers? Starting early is better than starting late. Okay, so before you guys, and here's the thing, right? Here's the pitfall of a lot of young people, right? What's the biggest pitfall of a lot of young people when they, in regards to starting early? What do they say? I have my whole life to do this. Right? I'll save money later, right? I'm gonna have fun right now, and I'm going to just throw caution to the wind, right? If you've ever heard that phrase before, right? Throw caution to the wind and see where I fall, right? But that's a pitfall for young people, because here's the reality, right? You throw caution to the wind, what happens, right? Do you make better decisions or poorer decisions? Poorer decisions, right? Do you think that buyer's remorse just applies to something when you buy physical things? No, right? It happens to decisions you make too, whether you spend money or not, right? It applies to other things in life too, and not just when you buy stuff. It's the decisions you make. It's what happens when you decide not to do your homework. It's what happens when you decide not to brush your teeth at nighttime. It's what happens when you say, oh, you know what? I can do it tomorrow morning. It's what happens when you put things off, right? So when I tell you now, yeah, money is, having money is great, but I'm telling you right now also, right, that it's not about the money. Trust me on this, right? It's not about having money. It's about what the money can do for you in your life, right? If you knew that you could have whatever you want and you didn't need the money, you would not care about money. But we also know that money can bring us things that we do want, right? But you also know that there are people out there who are billionaires who hate their lives, right? That's a fact. There are people who openly admit, I wish I did, money didn't bring me happiness. Because it doesn't bring you happiness, right? It's what the money can do for you. That's what brings you happiness. You know what it brings happiness to? Is generosity, right? Why do we as scouts, why do we knock door to door to ask for food and then just give it to somebody else, right? Because it actually feels good. You know, if somebody, so the person that's giving the food to you, they feel good for that generosity. And what is that? That's oxytocin release in your system. We're already hardwired that way. We're already built to feel good for doing good things, right? So here's another one for you, right? Have you ever seen somebody like lose something and then they get it back because someone found, oh, I found it, and then someone found it, like someone you didn't know, it was random, like a cell phone, you lost a cell phone or whatever, and then, hey, you know what, is this your phone, and they gave it back to you, like someone you didn't know, right? What does that do? What does that do for you? Right, you feel good you got it back, right? Because it's your cell phone, right? But what does it do beyond the feeling good you got your phone back? Well, yeah, that's true. Like you have to spend the money to buy a new one, right? But then don't you start to feel like, hey, you know what? There are some good people out there, right? It gives you hope, right? So the person, okay, this is also true, right? The person that gave you back the phone, they feel good for, because they say in their minds, they're like, you know what? If it happened to me, I wish someone would bring that phone back to me, right? And they feel good for doing that because they, oh my gosh, thank you so much. This has all my pictures in there, has all my very important memories in there, right? And that's a really big deal for some people, right? Of course it is. So that's the reason why we should always remember, hey, look, if someone were to lose something, that you try to get it back to them, right? And not try to like, oh, I found a phone, I can reformat this and then just keep it for myself or sell it to someone else for money, right? It's very temporary. So that's what I want to tell you guys. There's a lot more to life than making money, right? But it's very important to do what? It's very important to build those habits. It's very important to hone in on those skills, because guess what? At the end of the day, right? It's your life. You're the one who has to deal with it. You're the one that has to live your life. No one can live your life for you. So at the end of the day, if you don't take the notes, you don't understand the new things, you don't improve yourself, you don't have something you're shooting for, you're driving towards, right? Then what happens to your life? What happens to your life if you have nothing to shoot for? I'm sorry? You decline, but what happens to your quality of living? Feel like you have no purpose. There you go. Hit a nail right on the head there, right? So don't just go through life thinking that, okay, yeah, it's we got this merit badge and now I can become an eagle, right? And some of you guys, I can guarantee you right now, right? You do this class young enough, and by the time you get to that certain age, you're like, nah, I don't care anymore. But if there's something that you should take from this class going forward, right, is that, look, I have to live my life. I have to deal with it myself. So anything that happens to me is my own fault, right? Whether I succeed or I fail, it's my fault, right? So if you succeed, hey, guess what? It's your fault. You did it, right? You succeeded. If you failed, it's also your fault, right? That's the one thing that I'll share with you. And find your reason. Find your reason for being. Find what makes you happy, right? Make sure that you understand what that really looks like, what it feels like, right? So now, tell me some of your answers, right? What are your action steps? Okay, so besides how to save money, besides how to track your time, that's all really good things, right? But what are your next action steps after this class? What are some of your, tell me your goals, your dreams, some of your, because I was reading some of your and you had a really interesting one. You want to be a family counselor. That's interesting. So that I'm really curious what came about that thought, this decision to be that, right? So, but if you tell me, just kind of shoot out, give me what's one thing you took from this class, and I'll go down the line. You said that you learned to manage money better. Great. How about yourself, Andrew? What do you think? What do you get from this class? Time management. Okay, you're gonna get better at time management. So what's the action step for that? What are you gonna do? How do you think you're gonna get better at time management? Keep yourself accountable. And what was that now? Do what you need to first, not procrastinate, right? Like get stuff done, right? I think that's a very important lesson, right? If you get stuff done, you have more time to do stuff that you want to do, right? Because there are things that you have to do, right? And things that you want to do, right? So what should you prioritize first? things that you have to do, right? And so you guys know that I don't know if you guys are good with brushing your teeth. I know my kids aren't that great at it, right? So you got to get that stuff done, right? So that's the thing. Like, oh man, you know what? 2 minutes. It's 2 minutes. And there's even you even have these automatic brushers now that vibrate for you when it's 2 minutes, right? Right? And we still don't do it, right? It's funny. So I want to, yeah, go ahead. You're next. Right. What did you learn and what's your next action steps? Okay, so what do you think? So for that particular whatever you learned there, what's the next action step for that? What are you gonna do to? But how? Start as soon as possible. How? What are your thoughts on how to start as soon as possible? I'm listening to you. I'm trying to multitask here. Trying to look at this book and then listen to what you're saying too. How would you plan to save sooner? You're saying that, yeah, you want to start earlier than later, but how would you plan to do that? What's one thing that you could start doing to save sooner? Not worry about material items. Well, so then like I guess my question really is like how do you plan to save the money that you're making? What would you do? You have a savings account already? You have one of those already? So there you go. It's something like that. That's an action step. But see, here's the trick. So I'll give you another tip to piggyback on that, right? Make a commitment, make a decision to put away a minimal amount of money per week. Whether it's $5, $10, whatever it is. Make that commitment and don't, if you have to skip a snack, if you have to skip going to the grocery store or going to the convenience store and buying a bag of chips, right? Do that and don't fail to put money away per week and create that habit. Once you start doing that, that's another, and again, you can take that to the bank. Take that tip to the bank because it works. All right. How about go ahead, Ken. What did you learn? And
I buy a lot of useless things that I don't need.
okay, so you learned that about yourself. So you're buying this is okay. So that's good. You realize that about that's self-awareness is very key here, guys. Self-awareness, knowing what you're good at and knowing what you're not good at, right? And now taking steps to improve is ultimately valuable, right? So what's your action steps now for avoiding to buy useless stuff? There you go. That's a good way. That's self introspection. Like introspection is, like inspecting within, right? Introspection, right? Taking a look within and see, is this really gonna make me happy, like long term, or is this just something that I thought it was cool and then I'm just gonna waste money, right? It happens. No, trust me. As a young person, it's not a foreign idea, right? But what is a foreign idea is, oh my gosh, I'm starting to realize I didn't really need it after all.
A lot of things like, oh, I need this, and then after this ask them, what really need this?
Yeah.
Like I started asking people that, and I think I'm saying like over like.
There you go. See, asking other people, do I really need this, is actually good because then you get feedback from people, right? Having that conversation with someone. Yeah, no, that's valuable. That's good. That's a good tip. That's really good. And then so, is that something you're doing now, or is something you've done already, right? So what are some action steps going forward then with that money you're saving now? What are you going to do with it? That's good. It's okay. It's just there because at some point, right, you're going to be able to, here's the thing, right? Instead of think about some brands you're buying now, right? And find out if they're public companies. And trust me, instead of buying the items that you're buying, right? If they're a public company, you can invest in that company. And trust me, if you're talking to your parents about it and they're like, hey dad, can you help me invest this money into the stock? You're gonna be like, what? I mean, it's like, whoa, that's something that, you know what I mean? That's something new. And if you start creating that habit and the conversation, that's going to inspire your parents. Like, oh yeah, sure, let's get you a custodial account and I can help you invest money in. Right? I can watch it over for you and then you can see it grow. Right? So it's like here's an example for this, and I'll show you this one real quick. I have a, I don't know if I showed this to you guys already, right? I think I did, but what I didn't show you was I do show my kids. Like my son, I have a middle child that's 8 years old, right? And 4, 3, 8, 6, and 7, 4, 3, 8, 6, 7, 7. Okay, so I have a custodial account for them. See, look, there's my daughter's account, and it's not making money right now. I'm feeling bad about that. But I have my 2 sons, and they have identical accounts that work. So whatever I do for one, I do for the other. But I show him this. Look what he got his money in. He's got Gamers for the Win, which is GAMR is the stock ticker, right? Walt Disney, who doesn't love Disney, right? There's a long-term mix, right? But if you see this, right, these are all gains. The 15%, 20%, 30%, 35%, right? Those are all gains. Once you see this money grow, right? It's like, oh, hey, it's actually growing. So here's the idea behind this. Look, I'm going to show you this. So the amount of money invested is 583. The value is 765. So this made $182.20, right? Think of this like a video game, right? What's the point in the video game? What's your mission? What's your objective? Beat the game, right? But in the process, like who plays like online, like Roblox or like, which actually is a stock, it's a company too. Roblox, right? What's the whole point in these worlds, right? Is to upgrade, gain experience, right? And then like get better stuff, that get cooler things, right? So in life, it's the same thing, right? But see, what are you trying to upgrade here in this case? Your mindset, your brains. That's what you want to upgrade, not your things, right? Things are very temporary. They break down, they get old, you lose interest, right? But does your brain, your brain gets old too, like it grows up, right? But if you invest more time with growing yourself, right? What kind of return do you think you're going to get versus investing in things that don't grow and don't give you back any return? Like, do you think your items you're buying are going to give you back anything besides temporary happiness, maybe, right? What's that? Not much, right? Versus saving something in an investment and then eventually putting a down payment on a house that you want to buy, right? And then maybe potentially you turn that house into a rental. Oh, go ahead. Oh yeah. The door should be open. Just walk out this way, all the way down over there. So, and then expand your net worth by, buying another house. Okay, so Kendall, go ahead. Give me a. I know we got 8 minutes left. I'll try to go all the way down here. So what did you learn, and what's something that what action steps are gonna take going forward? Okay, that's okay. I mean, we've all done it.
And something that we did is like, you know how to do like the schedule thing when you have like.
Yeah.
So I would do something like that.
You're gonna do that more, right? Okay, good. And what do you think you learned from doing that more? Like from actually like, what did you learn about yourself or about time management or yourself more importantly? Right, and then what did that do? What was the result of getting your stuff done faster? What did you feel, or what was the result of that? Okay, you weren't rushing, and you were But how did that make you feel though? Feels good, right? So that's the when you accomplish something, right? That's the dopamine release to your brain. And when you release dopamine, it means that you've done something, you've accomplished something. We can trick ourselves though to release dopamine by doing what? Looking at your cell phone, getting texts from your friends, right? When you send out a message, you get something back, you're like, ooh, that's a dopamine release too. But when you do it for yourself without those things, it creates the synapses that create better habits. So if you keep working on that, it's going to help improve that, right? So I'd rather improve that than waiting for my friends to text me back. You know what I mean? Like that's, you know, what you can't control, right? How about you, Carson?
I learned more about stocks, but basically I had no idea how any of it works.
Okay.
And learned that it's good just put in like $5 or $10 every once in a while.
Yeah.
Because if you just put in like $100 once and then just let it sit, it doesn't really do much. So you have to keep adding to it.
Okay, good.
And yeah.
What's some action steps that you're going to do then? Based on what you've learned, what are your action steps that you're going to take?
Well, I also have a savings account, so use that. And then once I get, I guess, a reliable steady income, then just put in a % of that every
Okay.
2 weeks.
There you go. That's good. It's good to do because think about it, right? The phrase here is you don't want to time the market. I mean, especially if you're young and you're not really sure about how to do day trading, like don't jump into it when you're when you're too young. Like so I don't know if you guys heard the story, but there is a story, a real world story about a Robinhood a young person that was using Robinhood. You guys know the story or no? So it's a grave story. It's actually very unfortunate that this happened, right? So I don't know if you know the story. You heard about it? The story about Robinhood when this 22-year-old. Yeah. So this story when this no. Well, he was using Robinhood. So this 22-year-old wasn't just GameStop. I think he was doing a lot of options trading. So he basically got himself into the hole $700,000, and he committed suicide. Yeah, investing money. So again, but what was he doing? He was doing copycat trading. He thought he could make money by copying the moves of other people without really understanding what he was doing. Right. So that was an unfortunate event that kind of shed some light on Robinhood as a company, right? So that it made the company look pretty bad. But at the same token, what's the lesson to be learned there, right? The lesson to be learned there is don't copy other people in life. You have your own life to live. Because when you copy other people's movements and they don't work out as well as it did for them, well, you're in a deeper hole than you can ever be. Right? So that's why the rule of thumb here for saving money, right, is it's better to have time in the market than trying to time the market. Right? Don't try to like, oh, I heard something on the news, I'm gonna put money here and then like invest. But you should consistently put, again, $5 to $10 a week consistently, right? Be consistent with your actions versus trying to be like, oh, I have $100 or I have $1,000, let me put it all in this one stock, YOLO in the stock, right? You guys know what YOLO means. You guys are young, right? So don't YOLO, don't FOMO, right? You know what FOMO means, right? Don't FOMO it, fear of missing out. Don't FOMO into anything. Like, oh man, I'm gonna miss out. I'm gonna do this because I'm gonna miss out. If I don't do it now, I'm gonna miss out. You just FOMO'd. You just had a fear of missing out. And if you do that, you make rash and harsh decisions that you might, again, buyer's remorse. Right? You do that, you're like, oh man, I shouldn't have did that. Right? So being consistent with your actions. All right. So I got 4 scouts that completed, and I believe you said that you guys are not complete with your packets yet. Okay. I'll probably stay with you afterwards to talk about how about yourself. Sorry? You are done? Okay. I can probably recap that. You're done? Are you gonna not yet, right?
I am not no
Okay, so we can again, you have my email, you have my phone number, you know where I'm at. So, when you do finish it, contact me and I can, spend some time with you, spend about 30 minutes to an hour with you to go over your packet, kind of go over that. But I do want to hear from the guys on this side. I want to ask you as well. So what did you learn from the class, and what are the next action steps?
So I learned to like keep a set amount of money always in your account. And like for my set amount of money is usually about $30 to keep at all
Okay.
times. And then just any other money, at least try and save it, but that is the one you can spend.
So you learned that you need to keep a base amount of money at all times.
Yes.
Okay, so that's okay. That's good. That's called an emergency fund. Once you're older, once you grow up and you're out there in the real world, the reality is you want to keep about 3 to 6 months of your expenses liquid cash saved. Right. So that's a good habit. Build that habit. Keep building that. Right. So but then so how are you going to grow your savings then? What are your strategy? What do you think you can do to improve saving your money?
Well, it's more just jobs that are, like, example, I do some babysitting.
So one more time.
Example, I do some like some babysitting at school.
So try to earn more money,
Yeah.
right? Save it. Okay, good. But okay, good. And then last but not least, Brady, go ahead. What did you learn and what are you gonna do in the future?
It kind of helped me with my time management, so I'll
Okay.
probably like make a little calendar for myself every week on things I need to do.
Calendar, okay. So that's your action step. Okay, perfect. All right. So yeah. I'm sorry. Yeah, you can use it. I need to give you the key for the women's restroom though. So you know where the key was at from last time? In the front. If you go to the front desk right here, you can just grab it and walk around because I think that door is closed already. So you have to just come back this way. So if you need the restroom, go for it. So if you guys are done, and I guess I have to look at your packet again, Carson, to make sure that I can go ahead and complete it, help you complete it. But if you have anybody have questions too, right? So let's hang back for a second. I'm gonna make sure I get to you on that. But otherwise, if I signed off on your card, it's pretty much 8 o'clock. You guys are free to leave.